What's going on? Welcome to the 2021 edition of the Off the Schneid preview series, where I'll be going over all 32 NFL teams, breaking down their roster, schedule, giving you a record prediction, as well as helping out with some betting tips. If this is your first time on the channel, hit that subscribe button, and if you like what you hear, go ahead and smash that like button as well. Don't forget to check the description for links for the Off the Schneid social media and interact with me directly. I want to give a massive shout out to OurLads Scouting Services and OurLads.com, as all roster and depth chart graphics are straight off their site. If you've never been, go check them out immediately. I use their site for all NFL, fantasy, and betting purposes, and there's a link in the description for their site. Again, do me a huge favor and hit that like and subscribe button, but enough of that, let's get to your favorite NFL football preview. All right, we're taking a look at the Minnesota Vikings, and we'll start at the quarterback position like we always do. Kirk Cousins is here for the time being. We will see how this works out. He's 100% the quarterback here, no matter what this season. I shouldn't say no matter what, with the exception of injury. It's going to be interesting how they attack this moving forward. Next season, $45 million in dead cap, $45 million total, cap hit. They're paying him $35 million. They cannot cut him. They cannot. It'll be that $45 million. If they trade him, that's their only out. $10 million cap hit if they do trade him. And that's the only out they have from Kirk Cousins. This could turn into a bit of an Aaron Rodgers situation where, he plays well. They go to the playoffs, maybe something like that. They're a winning team. He has great stats and he wants an extension. I don't particularly think that Kirk Cousins has like the star power to, force their hand the way Aaron Rodgers might with the Packers. But it's going to be interesting. How do you move on from him? I mean, he's only 32 right now. He'll be 33 at the end of this season, 34 at the end of next season. And realistically, but then again, you got so realistically, do you just restructure him and keep him as your starting quarterback? I don't know. Kellen Mond, their third round draft pick this year. I absolutely love that draft pick. Absolutely love it. I was yelling for them to draft a quarterback last season, which they didn't do. That's all right. Nothing, Kirk Cousins was healthy, didn't need a guy. It's all fine and good. And now they potentially bring in that quarterback of the future, Kellen Mond, who looked fantastic at the Senior Bowl, was head and shoulders the best player there, in my opinion, head and shoulders the MVP. I don't know. I don't know how to attack this and what I think is going to happen. It's hard to say. This season is going to say a lot, to be honest with you. And then we'll just, I think the biggest thing for the Vikings is just get through this season and see where you're at, see where the team's at record wise. And if you went to the playoffs, see where Kirk Cousins is at, and see where Kellen Mond is at. So we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see him play in preseason because he's going to probably get the lion's share of the snaps throughout preseason. I think there's no question that he's going to be the backup, but Nate Stanley and Jake Browning might get some snaps in there as well as, competition. You're not going to play Kellen Mond 3 straight games throughout the preseason, but we'll see. It's very interesting for the Vikings to see where they go with this quarterback position after this season. Dalvin Cook obviously still there, one of the best running backs in the game. I fully expect that to continue this season as long as health stays, intact for the most part. I don't believe he's played a full season ever. It's just his running style, man. The way he runs is very, very hard. And, it's also what makes him so great. So you don't want him to stop doing that, obviously, but it might lead to a relatively short shelf life for him. Obviously torn ACL as well. So we'll see. Right now, he's still one of the best running backs in the game. You're going to feed him the ball probably, over 300 times total rushing attempts and catches as well. So you get over 300 total touches for sure. And you just keep rolling him as long as he's healthy and as long as he's, ready and willing to go, which he always is. So there you go. Alexander Mattison is one of the better backups in the game, I think. I really, really like him. He can do a lot of the same things as Dalvin Cook. They even look similar. So there you go. Amir Abdullah right now is kind of penciled in as that number 3 running back. I think there's a good possibility that Kene Nwangu ends up taking over that spot. Obviously, they drafted him in the 4th round, which was a bit of a reach in my opinion. But I think that he's going to do a lot of good things on special teams for this team. A lot. And, he's just a track star type of guy, get the ball in his hands and let him run. So we'll see what he ends up actually doing stats-wise this season. And if he does end up being the primary kick and punt returner, which I expect him to be, and expected there's a potential he's a Pro Bowler this year at those positions, special teams. Move over to tight end. I do expect a fair amount of 12 personnel for this team. I think that there's a good possibility Zach Davidson obviously makes this team, as well as Shane Zylstra. I think they could run with 4 tight ends. Tyler Conklin took a huge step forward last season, looked great. And obviously this year, I think will be the year that Irv finally gets let loose. We're going to let Irv swerve, kind of a thing. And, he's that number 3 receiver that they've always wanted. He's not, obviously I know he's not a receiver, but you know what I'm getting at. He should be an upgrade from Kyle Rudolph in the passing game. Move over to the wide receivers. Justin Jefferson, might be one of the best wide receivers in the game already. The dude is fantastic. I had him as my number 1 wide receiver. This was the best place he could go. He immediately becomes the best wide receiver on this team. It showed he is. And Adam Thielen is still very good. 31, I think, getting up there, and they're going to have to address that because they just continue to not. So if there's any weakness, it's obviously at the wide receiver position. They're going to have to address it, probably next draft, I expect fully for them to draft, if not, 2-3 wide receivers to come and compete. You're going to need another guy in short order. BC Johnson still there. Chad Beebe comes back. KJ Osborne, 5th round pick last year. Didn't really do much. I don't think he even really played on offense. A guy, I guess I'll talk about the 5th round pick this year, Amir Smith-Marset. I'm not a huge fan of his, if I'm being honest. I don't think he's going to do too much this season. I actually like Blake Prohl a lot more. I think that there's a very good potential. He's like the next Adam Thielen. I really like him. I think he knows the game. His dad, Ricky, played in the league for 17 years, I think. So, with the opportunity, and we'll see how preseason, that's going to be huge for the wide receiver position in Minnesota. I don't really think Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen play much at all in the preseason. They're just going to blow through these guys on the depth chart here and figure out who's best, who works where they're going to line up potentially. And they're going to get all the reps, and they're going to get a shot to, basically prove it. And we'll see who ends up, being the guys on this team, the guys that back up Jefferson and Adam Thielen. There's not a ton of 3 wide receiver sets that this team is going to run. But if they do, I guess Chad Beebe, maybe Blake Prohl kind of guys in the slot, maybe Justin Jefferson in the slot. I don't know. We'll see how that kind of shakes out, but they don't run a ton of 3 wide receiver sets anyway, so I'm not super concerned about that. The offensive line is in a great spot now that they drafted Christian Darrisaw in the 1st round this year. They traded down, I believe, and got some picks from what I recall. I had them trading up. So either way, they trade down and get one of the better left tackles in the draft this year, top 3, and he's going to slide right in, fill in a hole. And I really like their offensive line. Ezra Cleveland, 2nd round pick last year, played left tackle, moves into, I think he played right guard last year, but he'll probably move to the left side. OurLads has them on the left side here. Makes sense to me. Garrett Bradbury, 1st round pick a couple years ago, just holding it down. He's fantastic there. Dakota Dozier is fine at right guard. Nothing wrong with that. Brian O'Neill is a very good right tackle as well. He can definitely get the job done. Their interior guards and center spots are in a very good spot depth-wise. I think Rashad Hill is okay as a left tackle, but backup, but they're going to need another swing tackle at some point. It's not a concern right now, so I'm really not worried about that. But Drew Samia, Mason Cole, and Wyatt Davis, very good depth guys on the interior of this line. As long as Christian Darrisaw is healthy all year, I think they'll be just fine on the O-line, just fine. Touch on the coaching staff quickly. Mike Zimmer, one of my more favorite coaches, the guy that I wanted the Bengals, to be the next coach of the Bengals, but just didn't work out timing wise with Lewis and whatever. It just didn't work out for him to be the head coach for the Bengals. comes to the Vikings. He's been there for a few years. It is what it is. Clint Kubiak takes over for his old man as the OC, the official OC. Dude's younger than me, so that's interesting. But he's been around the game forever. Obviously, he was basically the offensive coordinator last year with, his dad assisting him is kind of the vibes I got from it. He was just the heir apparent. They were molding him for that role. And I think it's going to be just fine. The offense is going to stay the same. I'm not concerned there. Adam Zimmer, Mike Zimmer's kid, is co-defensive coordinator. Those two are the future. Clint Kubiak and Adam Zimmer, I think, are the future of this team, and I think they're going to be just fine. Nothing really changes, so I'm not concerned. Move over to the defense. Obviously, they struggled a lot with Danielle Hunter being hurt all year. The top two sack getters on this team, Yannick Ngakoue and Ifedi Odenigbo, are both gone. But obviously with Danielle Hunter, I think that, they're going to be able to do a better job at getting after the quarterback. They had a bit of a rough time. I say it in almost every single one of these. You got to protect your quarterback and get after the opponents. They did not do a very good job of that last year, and it showed in their record. I do expect that they take a step forward this year and get back to kind of where they were, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And I guess as well defensively, with Danielle Hunter coming back, Stephen Weatherly comes back. I believe he played for this team prior. I can't recall off the top of my head. Either way, Patrick Jones comes in, 3rd round pick. Janaris Robinson is a 4th round pick. Jalen Holmes was a 4th round pick in 2018. DJ Wanham was 3rd in sacks on this team in his rookie year last year, 4th round pick. Jalen Twyman comes in. Michael Pierce, Dalvin Tomlinson, Sheldon Richardson comes in. I really, really think that they've done everything that they can possibly do to upgrade this defense and, at the very least be able to get after the quarterback, but do all the other things that you need to do, stop the run and just apply pressure type of a thing. Their linebackers are in a very good spot. Eric Hendricks is very good. Anthony Barr is very good. I really, really like Chaz Surratt. I think that he's going to be a starter on this team in short order, if not right now. Troy Dye is their 4th round pick last year. Nick Vigil's still a savvy vet that can get the job done. Blake Lynch, Tuff Borland, Ohio State, undrafted free agent comes in. They've just been building through the draft. Obviously, they had the most draft picks in 2020 in the draft. I think they had 15. And then this year, I think they had double-digit draft picks again. So they're doing a very good job of building through the draft and just, finding complements where they need it on the defensive line. And on the back end, obviously bringing in Patrick Peterson, who, at one point was an absolute shutdown corner. I think they play a lot of zone. I think that they're going to play, if they don't already, which I think they do off the top of my head, but if they don't, they will, I think, with what they have here. But I love what they're doing as far as the secondary is concerned. Mike Zimmer always likes to have a quality back end, a quality secondary, and they just didn't particularly have that last year. They were just young guys. Obviously, Cam Dantzler, Jeff Gladney, their 1st and 3rd round picks last year. Harrison Hand was a 5th round pick last year. They brought back Mackenzie Alexander from the Bengals. Brashad Breeland, who was an MVP candidate a couple years ago in the Super Bowl for the Chiefs. Yeah, man. They got depth. They got playmakers. They bring in Xavier Woods, who I think is a good playmaker for this team. Harrison Smith, still one of the better safeties around and one of the best leaders as well. Cameron Bynum was a corner in college, comes in and he'll play a little bit of safety. I just think that this team has improved a ton, and we'll see if me and Vikings fans can be friends again. We'll move over to the record prediction and see if you guys like what I have to give you this year. So like I said, Vikings fans were pretty upset with me last year. Here's what I said, and it is what it is because I was right, so I can toot my own horn here. I called the Vikings taking a step back last season, missing the playoffs, took a ton of heat for it, obviously from Vikings fans. That's exactly what happened. I said last year, I think they take a step back and get back to the playoffs in 2021. What am I projecting? the Vikings improve, they get back to the playoffs. So hopefully Vikings fans and I can be friends again. We'll see. But there you go. 11-6 is what I'm projecting. I think that there's a very good potential that they win this division. If Aaron Rodgers is not on the Packers, I think that the Vikings win this division. I really, really do. If Aaron Rodgers is still on the Packers, I think the Vikings have a very good shot at still winning this division. I really, really do. I think that they have a good team. And I think that they've just improved everywhere that they need to. And I think that there's no way that they don't improve. And, you know, their schedule isn't exceedingly difficult that they're gonna struggle to get there, kind of a thing. So 4-1 on your money. I think those odds should be much closer, even with Aaron Rodgers still on the Packers. I think that those odds should be much closer. I am probably going to be betting on the Vikings to win this division. They broke my heart a couple years ago. They were the only team that didn't win that I projected. I would have won a lot of money if they had, you know, had a better season and been looking like they would have won the division type of thing. Either way, I really like the Vikings to win it this year, and I hope they don't break my heart because I'm probably going to be betting on them to win this division. That number is just too good for me to not bet. Not that I think that they are head and shoulders better than the Packers. Go check out the Packers video and see what I project for them, because it's very, very similar. Bit of a segue there, but they're very, very similar. And I just can't take the Packers at that number over the Vikings, given everything I see from Minnesota. So let's blow through the schedule here. Week 1, they start on the road against my Cincinnati Bengals. I think that they get that win just because it's going to be the first game for Cincinnati. They're still a young team. Joe Burrow is probably not going to play a ton in preseason, so we're not exactly sure where he's going to be. So that's very much a winnable game to open the season on the road, which would be huge, in my opinion, for this team. On the road against Arizona, I think that that's very much a winnable game as well. It's a tough game. It's going to decide where they fall in the low, high, my here. It's obviously going to be a tough game. If they can throw the ball, and it's a revenge game for Patrick Peterson, if they can throw the ball against that defense, then I think that they can have some extreme success. I think that the Cards are going to be very good against the run. So we'll see how that's going to shake down in that game. That's going to be an interesting one. Might be a little low scoring, but we'll see. That'll be a fun game to watch. At home, their home opener against the Seattle Seahawks. I think they get that win. Again, it's going to be just because big part of it is because it's their home opener, and that's going to play a big role, in my opinion, home games regardless, but home opener especially. So I think they get that win against Seattle. At home against the Browns, that's going to be a tough game, a tough game. So it's, again, a low, high, my type of situation. If they're sitting there at 2-1 against the Browns, even if they take that loss, it's not the end of the world. And I think that there's a very good potential the Browns win that game. They're a very, very good team. Next week at home against the Lions, I think they absolutely stomp the Lions. I don't expect the Lions to be a very good team. I think that the Vikings sweep the Lions this year. On the road against the Carolina Panthers, bit of a tough game. The Panthers, I think, are going to be sneaky better than people think, but very winnable, and one that you definitely want to get heading into the bye, especially if that puts you at 4-2. 4-2 is going to look a lot better going into your bye than 3-3, absolutely. So I think that they can get that win. It'll decide the low, high, my here, and they'll know in their bye week, like, it's a little early for me if I'm a Vikings fan, and if I'm the Vikings, I'd rather it's a little later down the road. I'd like to know where I'm at if I'm the Vikings heading into my bye, and even if you're at 4-2 or 3-3, you're that's way too early to know where you're going to be at the end of the season type of thing. So I would rather a later bye week personally. Either way, it is what it is. Week 8, they play Dallas at home. That's going to be a winnable game. That's going to be a tough game. Very, very tough game. But it's out of a bye. Sunday nighter, prime time, should be an interesting one. Again, it's going to be a low, high, my type of a game. I think they have a better overall defense than the Cowboys, but the Cowboys offense is very, very good. So we'll see how that one works out. On the road against the Baltimore Ravens, I expect the Ravens to get that win. I really do. On the road against the Chargers, winnable game, very winnable game. I think these teams are pretty comparable in LA, so that's going to be a tough one. That brand new stadium is going to be rocking, but very winnable game, and it's going to decide the low high my, kind of like I've been saying. And then at home against the Green Bay Packers for the first, I don't mind that you're not playing the Packers until later in the season, and you're going to know what you need to do, especially within the division. But I to make it easy, I'm splitting home and home against the Packers, so they get that win. On the road against the San Francisco 49ers, again, very comparable teams. And one that they could win, low, high, my. That's a tough game, though. That's a very tough game. On the road against the Detroit Lions, they beat the Lions. They get that win. At home, short week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get that win. On the road against Chicago, I think that there's a very good potential, again, that the Vikings sweep both the Lions and the Bears. So I think they can go into Chicago and get that win. I really do. At home against the Rams, tough game, very tough game. The Rams are a very good team, but I think that's a winnable game at home. On the road against Green Bay, they take that loss again. They split. And then at home to end the season against the Bears, they get that win as well. So it's just going to be really tough to, like I said, I really would like that bye week to be later, so you know where you're at and you know what you need to do to get to where you need to go. But either way, I think that this is just a very, very improved team. I think, the low side at 9-8 probably does not get you into the playoffs. It's really hard to project playoffs this year with the extra game. So I think that if they fall at 10-7, okay, but they probably don't win the division. It's going to be an interesting one. And if, again, Aaron Rodgers is going to decide a lot, ipso facto, indirectly for this Vikings team. So we'll see. Let me know what you think in the comments. Hopefully Vikings fans can be friends with me again. They were pretty rough on me last year, even though I was completely right. So there you go. Let me know what you think in the comments. There's your breakdown for the 2021 Minnesota Vikings.